were the police?
I'm not sure really, because they have a hard job.
For sure.
But I didn't really think they got the support they needed. The National Guard should have been called August 23rd, but the city of Kenosha failed the community. The governor, Tony Evers, failed the community, and there should have been a lot more resources to help with that.
Now, it was into that vacuum that Kyle Rittenhouse and others stepped in to keep Kenosha from burning to the ground. Now, you see when elected leaders refuse to protect their citizens because they don't want to offend the protesters, right? Well, those very citizens step up, and some work to protect the community. And Kyle wasn't alone that night. My next guest was armed and with him, although we didn't know him personally. Joining me now is Kevin Mathewson, a former alderman in Kenosha. Kevin, what's the biggest misconception about what happened that night? You were there. You were at that trial every day, too, I know. But what's the biggest misconception?
I sure was. Well, a few. I mean, there's this misconception that Kyle was a white supremacist. It's the only time I've ever seen a white kid, shoot three other white people and be called a white supremacist. Race had nothing to do with this. What this was a city that was abandoned by our leaders. We have the mayor, the county executive, the sheriff, the governor, all Democrats were too afraid, too proud to ask our president, Trump at the time, for help. They just didn't want to do it. They wanted to show us that they were big boys and they could take care of it on their own. And they couldn't. We didn't have the resources we needed. So I think the phrase was given, some lines got crossed. Well, no, that's just not what happens when you're an elected leader. You get the help to us, and you get it as soon as you can. I watched that video that went viral within minutes, the shooting of Jacob Blake, and anybody with half a brain knew that this was going to get bad, and we were going to have riots on our hands, and we just didn't get the help requested that we needed.
But Kevin, your
the governor,
message,
frankly, can send us help without being asked. And
but Kevin, your message to people tonight is: don't let your cities burn. Don't let your cities be destroyed. Do what you can within the boundaries of the law and your constitutional rights to protect your
Absolutely.
city. Is that what you're telling
and
people?
In Wisconsin here, we have the right to openly carry arms. And that's what I did. That's what hundreds of other Kenosha residents did, because help wasn't coming. The fire trucks were not putting out fires. The police were not coming when you called them. So I didn't want to stand by and watch my old neighborhood burn to the ground. And these were, the talking points were they're just businesses. Well, no, they had residential units on the second and third floors in the uptown area. That's where my district was when I was an alderman. And to watch them burn and the seriousness of it be dismissed because, well, it's just property, really rubbed me the wrong way. And I said, well, what can I do? I said, I've got an AR-15. I'll round up some like-minded people on Facebook, and it exploded. Thousands of people responded to my call to arms. And
now, Kevin,
it was said during the trial. On the 25th, the night of the shootings, there was an influx of armed civilians and really a decrease in the amount of destruction fires. So that correlation was no coincidence.
Now, Kevin, I want to point out the New York Times seems to be blaming you for the unrest that happened that night. They wrote yesterday, Mr. Mathewson had written on the Kenosha Guard's Facebook page, referencing what you just did, which is your organization, urging them to take to the streets to defend the city. Matthews' call to arms brought dozens of mostly white armed paramilitaries into the streets of the city's small downtown, creating a heavily armed confrontation that came to a head with the Rittenhouse shootings. Quickly, your response.
Well, that's not exactly what happened. What happened is there was a vacuum of people helping others. And that vacuum was filled by folks like Kyle Rittenhouse, who was not even an adult, who felt the urge to help others. And, I didn't do anything that wasn't supported strongly by the First and Second Amendment. It was not a paramilitary group. We were not vigilantes. We weren't trying to enforce the law. All we wanted to do was protect police officers from getting knocked unconscious with a brick, or a 71-year-old man getting beat to where he needed to have his jaw rewired. I mean, these are the things we saw.
Did the police thank you? Did any of the police officers thank you?
There's liability things with that. The boots on the ground, in so many ways, we know they appreciated us being out there, but the leadership, like I said, the Democratic sheriff, they wouldn't go over too well. All
right.
If they did anything publicly, but we knew that they supported us without them
Kevin,
having
thank
to say
you
it.
for these insights tonight.
Thanks
More
for
we
having me,
hear,
Laura.
more we learn. Thank you so much.